I come from the north of England, and there's some way in which geography is somehow your destiny, that somehow being a northerner defined who you were. And also I lived in East Berlin for quite a long time, and so was faced with living in a space where somehow geography, or the mapping of somewhere that was east or west or north or south, was somehow really important.
And the key point you're trying to get across in this book is that there is no such thing as a neutral, objective map. Every map reveals the prejudices, the ideological background of the people who made it. Every map reveals the prejudices, the ideological background of the people who made it.
Yeah, I mean, any map is basically making selective decisions about what it puts in and what it leaves out. You know, you can only have a map on a one-to-one scale that's actually objective and real. Anything else is making selective decisions. And all cultures do that, and that's really one of the things that the book's interested in, that all cultures create a worldview through maps.
Now, one of the people who figures large in the book, in the centre of the book, is Gerard Mercator, the man whose projection whose attempt to solve this problem of portraying a round Earth on a flat plane produced a groundbreaking projection. Now, this is one of his books. This has got a map here of Spain. When was this printed?
This is from the late 16th century, so his famous projection is 1569. He also makes the first book that's called an atlas, so this is his atlas.
And what's so clever about that? Because his projection survived. I mean, there's one over there, a 19th century map of the world on Mercator's projection. What was it that his approach had that previous approaches hadn't?
What he allowed people to do was navigate using a straight line of bearing. So what Mercator did was basically stretch the lines of latitude and longitude to enable you to draw a flat map, that you could draw a straight line that got you from A to B.
Let's sort of leap over the 19th century and have a look at what map makers were doing in the 20th century and right up to date in the 21st century. So here's a splendid example of a map of propaganda, really. This is the Navy League map of the British Empire, published sometime in the 1920s, much of the world coloured red. And this was typical of the way map making was sort of co-opted by political interests in the 19th, 20th centuries, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is seriously political geography in tooth and claw. I mean, again, it's using the Mercator projection, and it's really a way of celebrating the empire. There's no other reason for this map. It doesn't help you navigate. There's no other reason for this map. It doesn't help you navigate. It's not about getting from A to B. It is about political power and authority.
And in the book, you've got one or two startling examples of maps as propaganda. There is, for instance, a Nazi map of Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's precisely to show that Czechoslovakia is somehow an enormous threat to Germany. So it's distorting the shape of Czechoslovakia, the way in which the artistic dimension shows this actually quite small country bearing down on Germany. And it's simply a way of disseminating a visual image which is completely bears no reality.
And mapmaking became, in the 20th century, on occasion, tremendously controversial. There's a book here by a man called Arno Peters, the Peters Atlas of the World, and he thought he'd come up with a better way of showing the world this perennial problem of how you show a globe on a flat plane. Why was this projection so controversial?
Well, this is interesting because it's about an equal area map. Arno Peters was a left-wing historian and geographer who believed that the Mercator projection was Eurocentric, that it basically showed particularly Europe over and above Southeast Asia and Africa, which were diminished in size. So he took a different kind of projection. That's all he did. Mercator used a particular kind of projection. Peters offers a different one, which is called an equal area projection, which as a result leaves you with these extraordinary images of particularly Africa and South America as these long, elongated like teardrops, very, very different to Mercator. So I think that what Peters put his finger on is this issue of partiality. Any map of the world is partial. It has a certain story to tell because we can never have an objective, consistent, real image of the Earth. We just can't do it because we can never have an objective, consistent, real image of the Earth. We just can't do it. We can't square that circle.
All right, here's what looks like an objective image of the world. All right, here's what looks like an objective image of the world. this is Google Earth, and it's a circular image, so it gets around the big problem of trying to portray the world on a flat surface.